Yes, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. Thank you for clicking. So today I talk about safe days. Safe days as a method of contraception or the fertility window. I understand that currently you can actually do it manually if you can, and then there are various apps that have been invented to help in easing the process. I'll share the sources, funds which have been approved, and maybe you can start from there. So, unlike other methods of contraception, safe days are used by a few people, a smaller number compared to the pills, the implants, the IUCDs, and all these other things. So, the barrier methods. Usually, what I've noted among most people, actually, the reason why they fear this particular method is because there are a lot of calculations. Anytime there is an error, they think they can actually get an unintended pregnancy. So, just like other methods, there is no method that is 100%, safe. Usually, all these will work in percentages. For example, for these safe days, if actually you used it very well, that what we call the perfect use. For example, now like for standard the standard day method, if you worked with it so well, it has 98% efficacy. That is to say, 2 people out of 100, out of those who will use this particular method will conceive. Then the typical use, you're following it, but not too like the perfect use individuals. We noted 95% efficacy. That is 5 in 100 women that will use this particular method will conceive. And that's a good percentage compared to some methods like withdrawal. I mean, coitus interruptus, which have a very low percentage. So it's a good one, and it has been simplified. So just to speak into a few details of what this method actually, how it came about. Usually, science required us to do some research was done, and these hormones, throughout the cycle were measured, and then ultrasound scan of particular volunteers was taken throughout the month to see the endometrium, that inner lining of the uterus. It keeps changing over the month. So using hormone tests, using the ultrasound scan, and then tests were done on the ovum, the female egg, and the sperm, and they were trying to see how long can an egg remain viable for fertilization, how long can a sperm remain viable for fertilization. And it's in that way that we're able to know an egg lasts usually for 12 to 24 hours after it's released, and then a sperm 3 to 5 days. Yes, that's what we based on to come with the different things we talk about in this particular method. Yes, so it shouldn't ever be worrisome. That it's not guesswork, actually, it's backed by science. So I'll move straight to the methods available. Currently, actually, about 5 methods. We have the standard day method, we have the ovulation method, we have the 2-day method, the fertility monitor, and symptothermal method. So most popular ones are the standard day method, and then the ovulation method, that is done for monitoring cervical secretions, and then the symptothermal method. For it combines the two. You monitor both the secretions and the temperature, and then the 2-day method. So talking about safe days. So basically, before you use this method, there are 2 requirements you need to note. You need to know your cycle length, and then you need to remember the first day you had your menses. And what do I mean by knowing your cycle length? Usually that is the period between day 1 of your previous menses and day 1 of your next menses. I mean, if you had your previous menses, for example, start on 2nd July, and then this month's menses started on 1st August. So the period between 2nd July and 1st August is what we call cycling. So you count those days. If they are between 26 to 32 days, we recommend that you use the standard day method, and it's done for cycle beads, where you're safe between day 8 and day 19. And how do you know day 8? Usually day 8, you count it starting from the day you started your menses. You started on 2nd July on a Monday, that is your day 1. So day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 7, on day 8, whatever that date will be, or I think it's 9th, that is your day 8. So when you unsafe up to day 19. So basically, it's good you get these apps. Cycle Beads, it's a good one. It will show you based on your phone calendar and indicates to you on days when you're not safe, and then you can abstain. And the science behind this is simply, you see, when you have your cycle length, if for example it's 32 days, we usually know that scientifically that the egg tends to be released mid-cycle. So if there are 32 days of your cycle length, on day 16, that's when the egg is released, most likely. And usually it's actually either 4 days before or 4 days after, all on that very day 16. So basically that is the science around. So we calculate days around that period. And usually, like still another example, if you have your cycle like lasting 26 days, you'll realize that mid-cycle is day 13. So that means from day 9 to day 17, that's the period when the egg will be released. And you know what? Usually when it's released, it lasts for just 24 hours, 12 to 24 hours, and then it's gone. So we calculate around that time. That's what we use to, and we also know from science, the sperm lasts for 3 to 5 days in the genital tract. So we calculate around that period. If the sperm is introduced before or after, will this person still be safe? And we've noted that day 8 to day 19 is the safest time we can give you. So day 8 to day 19 for those with the cycle length between 26 to 32 days. And how do you get your cycle length? By getting the first day of your last menses and the first day of your next menses. So that's how you get to know. If you don't remember the last two first days of your period menses, you just need to start. You don't need to start now. Rather, you have to wait and note it, then note the next. And then after noting those, getting your cycle length, then there you're good to start. The best app to use here is CycleBeads. For the temperature method, still it's been used by very many people. For those that have used the Natural Cycles app, we know that actually this temperature thing works. And commonly you'll need a thermometer or an Oura ring. And usually science shows that towards the end of the fertile period, temperature tends to increase. So after 3 days of consecutive temperature rise, we assume you're safe. So, but it's easier to track with the Natural Cycles app. Then we also have the third method as the ovulation method. Here we basically monitor the cervical secretions, and usually this is the pattern. So we shall have the menses followed by usually if you've observed, this is actually how it goes. You have the menses maybe for 3 to 5 days. When the menses end, they are followed by a period of no secretions for like 3 to 4 days. Then those days end, we have a period of scanty, cloudy, sticky secretions for like 3 to 4 days. They'll end, we start the period of abundant, clear, wet secretions for 3 to 5 days. And we go back to no secretions, then we go back to menses. So like that. So basically in this method, every time you have the abundant, clear, wet, just know it is the fertile period. The body is trying to prepare that in case of any sperm, there is faster, there is easy movement because the body wants fertilization to occur. So there is easy movement and processing, what you call capacitation in the fertilization science, such that the sperm is able to go and fertilize. So that's why there is a lot of secretions. So every time you see such a period, that is a danger zone for someone who is avoiding pregnancy. And for someone who wants to conceive, that is the best time. Then we also have the symptothermal method, which combines the two. You monitor both the temperature and the secretions. Before I go ahead, this should be for someone, just like I said, it's good for someone who is able to follow through and with a supportive partner, because otherwise it will actually get hard. If you suffer from, there are particular people for whom these particular methods, the fertility awareness method, may never work. If you suffer from irregular cycles, and commonly this is common in adolescence, if you suffer PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome, after breastfeeding, breastfeeding comes with irregular cycles. If you just finished using contraceptives, usually the cycle is a bit destabilized, so this may not be a best method for you. Then the second group of people, if you recently had a cycle interruption, and I mean if you had a recent pregnancy. So if you had a recent pregnancy, for example, if you just delivered, if you just had a pregnancy loss, if you just had maybe an abortion, so all these things that interrupt the cycle. Then if you happen to be in an environment where you cannot comply, for example, if you're in a chaotic or unstable environment, if you're homeless or all these things, these challenges, it may not be the best method. And then also, if you have a non-cooperative partner, this may not be the best, because within the days within the month, for example, for those using the standard day method, 12 days within the month, that is day 8 to day 19, you're supposed to be abstaining or use the barrier method. But if you have an uncooperative partner, this may not work. So basically, that is it. Those are the groups of people who might have to opt for the other methods. Otherwise, basically, that's all about the safe days method. Recommended apps for the standard day method, I recommend iCycle Beats. For the temperature method, I recommend Natural Cycle app. It's approved by FDA. Even there is the Clue, the previously called Dot, the Clue birth control app. So it's a good one. Basically, that's what I can share about the safe periods. I hope this is helpful. If it's helpful, I invite you to subscribe to the channel, like this video, share with your friends who might find this equally important. Thank you.